So these are the top 6 CPA exam time strategies that I recommend.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Back, guys. We're back with another top list. This list is about a very important topic on the CPA exam, which is time strategy. I can't emphasize how important it is to keep track of time, not only on the CPA exam, but when you're studying as well. Keeping track of time is what separates who passes and who fails. So stay tuned, because I have a lot of good tips here on this list. Let's get right to the overview. I have a quote from a very well-known author named Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy writes a lot of time management books, and he gives a lot of time management advice. He does a lot of public speaking about time management. He's very knowledgeable in the arena of time management. So quotes that stand out to me is, any goal can be achieved if you break it up down into small parts. When you think about it, if you break up any goal in manageable parts or steps, it's easier to envision it and make it a reality. So just make sure when you're preparing for this exam, you can break it up in manageable steps, manageable portions where you can handle it, where it's not going to overly stress you, ruin your daily routine. It's not going to overwhelm you. So just make sure you have a plan and a time strategy where it's achievable. Okay? So let's get right to the list, guys. You ready? Let's go. So number 6 of the list. Are Sims harder than MCQs? So the reason I added this to the top 6 list is because it's important to know if Sims are harder than MCQs when you're taking the CPA exam, to properly allocate time on the CPA exam itself. And a lot of people think that if you retake unlimited practice tests and you do countless mocks of multiple choice question section, you're going to do fairly well on the exam, which is not the case with this exam. And this is why I laid out the exam structure here, which is, it shows you that the first testlet, which is the medium testlet, is given to the candidate when they first open the exam on the exam date. If they have a stronger performance, they'll be given another testlet, which is a little bit harder in difficulty, but it's also a medium testlet, if it makes any sense. That's the way that they word it in the AICPA, but pretty much it's a little harder than the first one. If you have a weaker performance, you're given another easier testlet like the first one, and if, let's say, you're allocating less time towards MCQs and more time towards Sims, then that means that if you do really well on the first testlet, that may mean you may need more time on the second testlet, which is the medium 2B right here. And if you do fairly weak, that may mean that you need less time on the second testlet. So I wouldn't allocate time that way. I will allocate more time in the essence of knowing the content properly in order to answer it properly, and leaving some cushion in every testlet to just go back and see if every question you answer is 100% correct. That's something I didn't do the first or the second time. I just answered it. I didn't want to second guess myself, but it's important to go back and just look at it. Just briefly, don't second guess yourself, but just briefly go back and look at it. All right, so that's number 6. All right, so let's go number 5. Number 5. What testlet should you allocate more time to? So it goes back to number 6. So you should allocate at least a half an hour to 2 hours in the simulation portion, and it's all depending on your reading speed. Why? In order to perform well on Sims, you must read an introduction paragraph, and most testlets, they come with most simulations, they come with exhibits, and they have to be entirely read, and they have to be read carefully. So just know, if you perform really weak in simulations due to the reading and comprehending the introduction and the exhibits and putting all that information together, then make sure you have enough time to tackle those portions in the exam, because you only have 4 hours and the MCQs already take a lot of your time. All right, guys, that's number 5. Know how much time to allocate depending on your performance. Number 4, how to save time and earn points with the FAR exam simulation portion. So become really familiar with the folders that are available to you in the authoritative lit. When I mean authoritative lit, I mean authoritative literature. Authoritative literature is given in almost every CPA exam for the FAR section, and the questions are pretty much defined guidance for construction accounting or lease accounting or accounting for governmental courting leased assets and things like that, you know. So just try to find some time to just go over the authoritative lit, whatever program you're using, self-study program, and just be familiar with the folders on the side like I have displayed here. Like for instance, FAR only uses this majority, I'll say 99.9% of the questions use the folder for FASB fortification. Within that folder, there's multiple folders like revenue, assets, liabilities. So if you're being asked a question about liabilities, you know, just go down to that folder and see what kind of guidance and presentations and information you can pull out of those folders, so it can make time quicker for you than having to search something and it might not even be that answer, you know. So the main point here is to avoid time from second guessing and having to go back, you know. So you want to do that before the exam. That's tip number 4. Tip number 3, CPA exam simulation exhibits. It's likely that on your FAR exam, you will be given 5 to 6 sims out of 8 with no more than 4 to 5 exhibits and semi-long paragraphs. Also, expect the difficulty in problem solving or calculations to become less challenging. Make sure to leave yourself a small cushion, like I said previously, after each testlet, and go back and review responses. I put this little table here to kind of show you how many MCQs you get in the FAR and how many task-based simulations you get in the FAR exam as well. So you get the first testlet, you get 33 MCQs, second testlet, 33. The third one is when you start your simulation, which is 2 simulations. Then you get your break, your courtesy break, not optional, courtesy. And then you start your last 2 testlets, which contain 3 testlets, 3 here and 3 here. Right, guys? The tip, make sure to leave yourself a small cushion after each testlet to go back and review your responses. So every time you finish a testlet, just leave yourself that small little window. It will definitely reward you and increase your score. Number 2, why reading is an important skill and required in the CPA exam. So it's clear to most CPA exam takers that in order to pass, you must quickly read and comprehend the questions at hand. If your reading speed is below 200 a minute, you don't stand a chance in this exam. So if it's below 200 words a minute, you don't stand a chance in the exam. Why? The FAR exam has 66 MCQs with an average of 150 per words per minute on 61% of the MCQs. So let's say 61% of the MCQs have 150 words per minute, and which require calculations. Just think about how much time does that take. We put a minute towards reading the actual sentence, another minute to reread the question, because you know some of us need to reread it like me, and a minute and a half to do the actual calculation and not make any mistakes. A careful calculation of 0.3. Let's say 3 minutes. To answer these types of MCQs, you'll need within 2 to 3 minutes to answer each question, taking approximately an hour and 25 minutes, right? From 2 to 3 minutes, 61% of the 66 MCQs is about an hour and 25 minutes. The other 49%, the other 39% of the questions will require that other time remaining that you have. So, which is 35 minutes. So, totaling a total of 2 hours or maybe even more. So this is why I'm saying make sure that you know how to properly allocate that time towards the simulations. If you need more time for MCQs, use it, but make sure that you use that 15-minute window wisely so you can tackle the simulations as fast and as efficient as possible. Also, like I said, try to really understand reading these simulations, because like the example I'm giving here, you see we don't have that much time to answer these MCQs. We're given less than 2 minutes and 2 to 3 minutes for 61% of the complex MCQs. So just try to master that other 50% portion of the exam, which is the testlets, the simulation testlets, because 50% of the score goes towards the MCQs and 50% goes towards the simulations. In order to pass if you want to pass, you got to get that 75. But, you know, it'll be wise for you to skip the ones that really take a lot of time, a lot of your thinking and calculating. I would just focus on the quick ones, the ones that you definitely have right. Don't do this often, but just number one, a trick to add 10 minutes to your CPA exam. All right, so according to the CPA, before starting the CPA exam, there will be 2 5-minute screens you must answer before starting the exam. So what I did was I used these 5 minutes to prepare a cheat sheet. So all of us that went to college, obviously you guys did too, because you won't be able to sit for this exam without going to college. Sometimes in some courses, some cool professors allow us to make a cheat sheet for exam. And these cheat sheets contain 1 page of information or little or notes that can help you throughout the exam, just a memory tool. So what I do in these 5-minute windows before the exam starts, the 4-hour exam, what I do in these 2 highlighted 5-minute windows is I start writing everything I can. And I do it in a very organized fashion in a scrap that's provided by the Prometric staff. I'll show you how I do it. So the trick to add the 10 minutes to the CPA exam in a very organized fashion, the way I do it, and you should probably too, is you do a cross in the middle of the scrap paper. Then you put the GASB, FASB, NFP, and IFRS, and you organize them. Everything you can remember, you take these 10 minutes to just write everything in each box. Everything I remember at FASB, I'm going to write it in that box. Everything I remember at GASB, I'm going to write it there. NFP, I'm going to write it there. IFRS, I'm going to write it there. All those abbreviations they teach us from Becker, all those acronyms, lease accounting, Owens, all this information that you can remember and not have to ponder throughout the exam and think about, like, what was W for Owens. Just write it down. This is going to save you so much time, and you're going to thank me later. NFP, you put information like how the financial statements are linked. GASB, you can put a list of all the financial statements, what goes in each financial statement. FASB, you can write different types of like the pension, when what equals PBO, the calculation for PBO, or calculation for net pension cost, periodic pension cost. I think it's MPPC obviously, but there's a lengthy calculation for pension that you have to remember, and it comes up on the CP. It might or might not, but for me it came up probably twice. We always get questions about bonds. You can put stuff about bonds on FASB. And then for IFRS, I won't say go too much in detail, but make sure you know the main concepts, the differentials between FASB and IFRS. I'll put a little circle maybe here in between these 2 boxes, and I'll just write down the similarities, or maybe a circle right here between the 4 boxes, and then I'll just write the similarities here, like between IFRS and FASB. And if it's similar to FASB, I'll just write it here, and it will just save me time, more organized. I'll just have to skim it, and I'll answer a question correctly in less than a minute, maybe 30 seconds. Right, guys? So I hope these tips really helped you. That was number 1, probably the best tip I ever seen on YouTube or any channel. You're not going to get it from Becker. You're not going to get it from the AICPA. This is straight out the brain. Hope you guys liked it. More content coming soon. Comment and subscribe. Keep on studying. Good luck, guys.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.